So Thomas Tuchel's been at Chelsea now a year, and I'm so happy with what he's done. It's actually almost unprecedented how well he's done. He came into a club that were languishing in 9th in the league, and he took us from that position into the top 4 to an FA Cup final and then to European glory, to beat Manchester City in Porto and win our 2nd European Cup, to become London's only representative with not 1 but 2 European Cups really is historic. And I think Thomas Tuchel is the answer to all of our problems. Anything going wrong at Chelsea, the answer to solve them, the solution is Thomas Tuchel. And I just really hope that the club back him for a long time to come. I think when Tuchel took over, I think there was an element of disharmony in the ranks. I think there were certain players who were slightly disillusioned with Lampard. I think Lampard had fallen out with certain players. And at Chelsea, player power is a real thing. If you were to say one thing changed, it was defensive stability. I think Thomas Tuchel has taken a blueprint and imparted it into our defenders to actually create some of the best defenders in the world. And there was a spell where we just didn't concede goals. I think if there was one player that has improved drastically, it would be Antonio Rudiger, but it is applicable to that entire back line. Thomas Tuchel has created an outstanding defender out of Antonio Rudiger. But I actually think that he's going to end up staying simply because there's a really finite amount of clubs that can pay 400 grand a week. We need a player like Rudiger, somebody that is, and I say this word with only positive connotations, somebody that is a flat track bully. Rudiger bullies Chelsea to victories. Rudiger bullies Chelsea to trophies. So you need players like that in your team. I think our best player this season is Thiago Silva. I think he is now in the conversation for one of Chelsea's best ever centre-halves. And it's just a shame that Chelsea didn't sign Thiago Silva when we should have done, because the partnership that he would have had with John Terry, I'm not sure we would have ever conceded a goal. It would have been amazing. With regard to the Premier League title, I think that this Chelsea team, under Tuchel's guidance, is totally capable of winning the Premier League. At some point, I believe that Tuchel will win a Premier League with Chelsea. The problem that we have, it isn't really about how good Chelsea are anymore. Now it's about overcoming this Manchester City team. And Manchester City seem to have the minerals to consistently go on those ridiculous runs. 12 games in a row, 15 games in a row. Chelsea ultimately will have to create a team and create a system and create a culture of winning that amount of games in a row. And I think that this team is slightly beneath that. A couple more signings, a couple more years of development for the younger players, and I think we can be. But it's another year to 18 months away, I think. I think there are certain issues that Chelsea have that need strengthening. I mean, a central midfielder is definitely high on the agenda. As much as I rate Mateo Kovacic, I think he's a glorious football player, but I think he needs somebody else. And N'Golo Kante is potentially Chelsea's only genuinely world-class player. And for me now, he's actually been so good for Chelsea that he probably makes it into my all-time Chelsea 11. I think he's that good a player. But I think we're going to need reinforcements there because N'Golo Kante can't really keep fit. Jorginho isn't my kind of player. I don't rate him particularly highly. Kovacic needs cover. And then the supporting cast, whether it's Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Ross Barkley, without sounding too harsh here, I don't think they're Premier League footballers, to be totally honest with you. And I think Declan Rice would be a brilliant signing for us for so many reasons. I think he's such a gifted player. I think he's so good at everything. I think he's seen as being a sort of holding midfielder, but I don't put him as that. I think he can do that job admirably, but I think he's a box-to-box midfielder who can contribute so well to the way that Chelsea like to play. Like, there's just not enough goals in this team. I mean, Romelu Lukaku's been brought in to score goals. You know, I just don't think he's the answer anymore. And more importantly than that, more pressing than that, doesn't want to be at the club, doesn't care about Chelsea. I think he's a narcissist who finds happiness only out of self-gratification. He'll say things like, I love Chelsea, but it's not true. He's proven it's not true. He wants to play for Inter Milan. I thought it was the answer to our prayers. And I thought he was the player that was going to take us from kind of pretenders for the league and a brilliant cup team and European champions, but pretenders for the league to genuine contenders. I thought he was the man to do that. And I was wrong. I was so wrong. I mean, the player that I thought he had become under Antonio Conte at Inter Milan, it doesn't seem to be true. So I think that Romelu Lukaku has done a lot of damage to this team. I think it's fairly disrespectful the way that he treated the fans with that interview. And if there was a chance to sell him an upgrade, I would definitely take that. But I think that's going to be very difficult. Oh, if I were to describe Thomas Tuchel's reign in 5 words, I would go for successful, historic, exciting, unpredictable, and enjoyable. The good times are back. Obviously, Frank Lampard was one of the most enjoyable it's ever been. But this period under Tuchel and just the success and the way that we play and the belief in the team, it really is special.